If you clicked on this video, it's likely that, like me, you are a runner. And if you are a runner, then it's likely that you too, like me, have run into a running injury, no pun intended. The running injury that I'm going to be talking about today, as you probably saw in the title, is the runner's knee, or the IT band syndrome. And I've read online that this injury makes up for about 20% of all running injuries reported. So yeah, it's pretty likely that as a runner you will run into this issue. So I thought I would share my findings after 5 months of dealing with this very annoying, very pesky injury that seems to come and go. I thought it'd be a disservice not to share my findings, what I've done to help my runner's injury, what I'm doing to prevent it, and hopefully what I'm doing to never run into it again, because I really didn't enjoy that time being injured. It wasn't fun. Now, I'm out on my easy run today. I am 13 days away now from my next marathon. I'll be running the Adelaide Marathon on the 21st of August 2022. I am incredibly excited, and amazingly I feel fit for it. Yesterday I finished my last run of my training block. It was a 100k week, just over actually. I think I did about 102, which if you had told me I was going to run a 102 kilometre week about 6 weeks ago, I wouldn't have believed you, because I was injured with the runner's knee. So I'm on my taper week now. I'm out on a nice and easy shakeout run this morning. I thought this would be a great time to share with you 5 things I think every runner should know about the runner's knee. Let's get into it. So, starting off with number 1, and that is, what is runner's knee exactly? Now, if you're watching this video and you've been lucky enough to avoid runner's knee, it will probably benefit you to keep watching, because it's likely that you will run into this injury at some point. I hope you don't, but just in case, keep watching. Runner's knee, in my case, was caused by IT band syndrome, which, I'm going to say this a few times throughout this video, I'm not a physio, I'm just a runner with a bit of experience, so take my words with a piece of salt. But IT band syndrome, I have read, is caused usually by weakness or tightness in the hips that compresses the IT band tendon against the muscles in your quad, hamstrings, and in turn just put pressure on the knee. I felt my runner's knee on the outside of my right knee, on my dominant leg, and yeah, it's just persisted until I stopped. I'd feel this about 3 or 4 kilometers into every run. Didn't matter how fast or slow I was running, just a few K in, it would start, and it would gradually get tighter until I stopped. And as I said in the intro, I've dealt with this injury for about 5 months, and it's just, yeah, such an annoying little niggle to have. Really frustrating. But yeah, if you're feeling a bit of pain anywhere around the knee, really, from what I've read, the IT band or runner's knee can affect anywhere in the knee. Do a bit of research. I really recommend just having a really good look through Google, trying to pinpoint what it is that you have before seeing a physio, of course, if you feel like that is necessary. So, talking of seeing a physio takes me on to part 2, and that is the short-term relief I found for the runner's knee. Now, I included this point because I think it's important to know that all of our experiences is of course going to be very different, and most of the videos that I found on YouTube were really documenting sort of the bigger picture of the runner's knee, talking about the weak areas that are likely causing this problem, but there wasn't too much about the sort of short-term remedies that might help. So just to roll through a few of the things that I found really helped, and that is hot and cold. I'm a big advocate of using sort of deep freeze gels or deep heat, tiger balms, ice packs, all of the sort. I really found that actually just covering both of my legs in a variety of hot and cold really helped to alleviate my pain and soreness from the runner's knee. I also found that compression, so using compression tights as well as compression sleeves really helped. Raising my affected knee while I was sleeping, I found that was just a tremendous benefit for the next few days, raising my knee on a few pillows. But all in all, the absolute best short-term relief I found was actually just sticking to a strict stretching routine, mostly in the lower back region. So lots of pelvic exercises, pelvic stretching, sort of lumbar forward stretches. I'll put some on screen now that I found really helped me. But yeah, all of these provided a lot of relief in between some of the runs that I was trying at the time, but also the strength exercises, which I'm going to cover shortly. So moving on to number 3, and that is strengthening. And this is where the physio comes into this video, because I did in fact see a physiotherapist, and this was back when I was in London. I'm now in Australia, but a couple of months ago I went to see a physio in West London. It was actually at the R&D running clinic, I believe. I'll put that on screen now. I would absolutely recommend them if you're London based. Yeah, fantastic service at a great price, I think. But the advice I got while at the physio was that I needed to build strength in my legs. And I've said it before on this channel that I had neglected sticking to any sort of strength routine, but actually, well, was this shown when the physio tested my leg strength. I just absolutely had no sort of stability strength. Although I'm quite comfortable holding somewhat of a running form and sticking to my tempo paces, it did seem that once I tire, I did start to heel strike quite a lot. I was starting to drop my cadence. My knee really was showing all the signs of overstriding. So just really not in a good way, to protect my vital joints, like my knee and my hip. And I was actually just really lacking the stability in my feet to get a proper toe off when running, but also just to keep myself in good alignment. So I was shown exercises like split squats, single leg calf raises, as well as clamshells with resistance bands and monster walks. I'll put a few of those on screen now so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But after implementing some of these exercises into my daily stretching routine, I immediately found some benefit. And I think as runners, we can all do with a reminder that actually our muscles go for a hell of a lot when we're out running. Whether you're a marathon runner like me or you're doing shorter distance, we can all benefit from doing strength work, whether that means lifting weights or just doing body weight exercises. It's all gonna help us really, to sustain the running that we're at already, or to improve our running. So it's a really good thing to bear in mind. And with that, we'll segue into number 4, which is finding your weakness. Come on, let's be honest with ourselves. We've all got a bit of an ego when it comes to running. Anyone that has Strava, they know how difficult it can be when a run doesn't go to plan, and it just automatically uploads, and you think, how can I caption this? How can I talk up the big game? I don't know about you guys, but I definitely feel that. I do feel a sense of integrity and responsibility to always smash my workouts, but I couldn't deny my lack of proper training, when I was seeing, you know, the hill workouts that others do, as well as just the strength and conditioning that so many great runners upload to their Stravas or talk about here on YouTube. And I just realised that actually I'm missing some of these things, in particular the hill workouts. And missing these hill workouts throughout my training has probably really caused weaknesses in my quads, my hamstrings, my calves, my glutes. You know, it's likely that missing out on gradient work is actually going to cause a bit of an imbalance. If I'm always running on flat, you can just imagine that the kind of muscles that are adapting to the training that I'm doing aren't very agile. You know, they're almost a one-trick pony. If they can only run on flat, then what's that going to do for me when I get to a race and there's hills? It's going to be really difficult. So it's no wonder that after my last marathon, which was in April, 2 or 3 weeks after, is when I first felt my runner's knee injury. Was it caused by the marathon distance? Probably. Was it caused by the marathon distance mixed with the hills in the marathon? Almost definitely. And that to me is a pretty sure sign that I need to make myself a bit more of a rounded runner. So over the last few weeks, I've been incorporating a lot more elevation into my weeks, to the point now where I actually really enjoy hill reps. I enjoy finding hills on my long runs, and my legs just feel so much stronger for it. So I think, you know, finding your weaknesses, I think accepting areas where actually you need to put a bit more work in. I think, of course it's hard, but it's going to help you become a better runner, and actually it's going to make your running a lot more sustainable, and you can be pretty sure that you're going to be avoiding injury at a much better rate if you're incorporating sort of a different set of workouts, you know, into your weekly schedule. For me, I've also been doing beach running barefoot on the sand, just running on the camber of the beach. I think it's just allowed my legs just to, you know, incorporate such a different style of running, and you know, I really do believe I'm a stronger runner just from doing these runs on different terrains at different elevations. And moving on to number 5, and that was to find the root cause. Now, I'm not sure how likely it is that you'll have a eureka moment like I did and find sort of the source of all of my issues. I mean, I was absolutely over the moon for this to have happened, but I do almost feel like it was not, you know, a one thing fits all. It was actually a mixture of the strength training, the different workouts that I've been doing, the improved diet and mobility stretching, all of these things I've been doing that actually sort of, not fix this issue, that's the wrong word, but helped me to get a better idea of what was going on. But I made this breakthrough a few weeks ago. I had this eureka moment when I bought a massage gun and I was massaging my legs and, you know, particularly around my hips. Did feel a lot of tightness, and I came across the TFL, the tensor fascia lata, I think it's called, and actually found a video on YouTube. I'll link it down below. It spoke about how to release the TFL, and quite often I sort of not doubt the impact of these videos, but I do often find that they are just quite simple exercises that are titled with quite a clickbait title that don't really do much, or not in my experience anyway. But this one video really was a bit of a breakthrough. You can watch the video for yourself if you're interested, but it just basically spoke about finding the TFL in the first place, and then just moving your leg through a range of motion while massaging it, basically to release the TFL. And with a massage gun in the right position, after a little bit of a warm-up, it just completely sort of seemed that my knee pain had just subsided for the first time in about 5 months. And what was really weird is I found this out about 2 days before the Hills to Henley half marathon that I ran about 3 weeks ago. And I turned up to the start line of the half marathon with no pain, and I ran 21 kilometers at tempo effort with no discomfort, which absolutely blew my mind. And upon going across the finish line, I had the idea of making this video. Actually, I did find this thing that worked, and it might be different for all of us, the thing that, you know, helps us move forward and past injuries. But actually, being able to run that half marathon with no pain was just an incredible feeling. The result of that day was kind of subsided, and kind of secondary to how much of a breakthrough it was to run pain-free for 21k. Oh, it felt so good, and it still does now. I haven't had any pain since I found that TFL release video about 3 weeks ago, and I'm over the moon about that. And so on to our, is it the 5th point or the 6th point? The 6th and final point. This is going to be about prevention and hopefully a happy running career from this point on without runner's knee pain. Because quite frankly, I'm sick of the injury and I don't feel like I deserve it anymore. No, that's a joke. We've got to be humbled as runners because these things are going to happen. Despite how much work we put in, we're always going to get injured. It's just the nature of the job. And actually, if we didn't get injured, it would make this whole thing a lot less special, because we never know when it's going to be our last run, and we've got to be thankful for all of them ultimately. But for me, to prevent runner's knee in the future, I've got to keep up my strength work. I've got to stay on top of those calf raises, the clamshells, split squats. I've got to keep the stretches going, the mobility, all of those lumbar stretches, lumbar exercises, as well as all the band work. I've got to focus on my running form. I was recommended by my physio that I should just try and gradually increase my cadence over the months until I'm running at about 180 strides per minute. It's up for debate what the optimum cadence is for everyone, or in general. About 180 is suggested, but I found that anywhere over 170, my running form and my gait just improves a lot. I was a bit of a hill striker before this injury, but after having my gait analysed and doing a bit of filming of myself, I've realised that actually taking it a little bit slower on my tempo efforts and just focusing on my form, I feel stronger, I can run for longer, and yeah, I've got no knee pain. So that's the result. But ultimately, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned from having this injury is just to really be patient with myself and to take time, because as I mentioned, I love Strava. I'm a big Strava user. Even on days when I don't run, which is rare these days, I still like to go on there and see what other athletes are doing. And I do think that I get a little bit, you know, head over heels about all the data on there, and I just can't wait to get out and start breaking my PBs. But actually, it does a hell of a lot of good to just rest, have a little bit more of a think about these issues. In my case, it really benefited me to spend some time on YouTube, watching these release videos in the TFL area, the glute medius, the IT band, and, you know, sort of be my own physio for a little bit. But if you guys have any questions about my experiences with the runner's knee, please leave it down below. For now, I'm going to be enjoying my taper period. I've got 2 weeks now, or 13 days till the marathon, so I'm going to be upping my beetroot intake and, yeah, carb loading really as of about 10 days time. But yeah, for now, lots of chilling from me, lots of easy runs. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it if you've made it this far. But as always, find gratitude, find peace, and I'll see you guys, I guess, somewhat nearer the marathon. Until then.